What do you do when you've put your entire life into a new business or product and risked everything for a dream that didn't work out? How do you survive that? Is there any road back from that level of catastrophe? People are always asking me what happened to TC Pets, which is the product that I was on Shark Tank with. Well, stick around to hear the ugly truths about how I failed epically, learned from it, and the coping process that helped me get back on track. Hi, Lisa Lloyd here with more tips, tricks, and strategies to optimize and accelerate your invention licensing business success. If you like this video, please hit that like, subscribe, and notification bell to be the first to know each time I post a new video every week. And don't be afraid to ask your questions in the comments below. I read and answer every one of them, and they help me to know what to bring you in future videos. Back in 2008, I had the opportunity to work with a wonderful woman who had a patent issued on a really cool hair accessory organizer for girls. I took it to several companies that I had good relationships with in an attempt to license it. Everyone thought the idea had merit, but there were several challenges to making it commercially viable. So Sandra, the inventor, and I struck a new deal where I licensed the patent from her, and then I went on to redesigning it based on all of the feedback from those companies. I decided to manufacture and sell the product instead of licensing because I could see how it could be easily expanded into an entire line of products, and that really lends itself more to a venture than a licensing business model. I did a private placement offering and opened it up to a few people to invest. Then I began building out and selling the line of plush toy organizers. I was so excited to bring a new company and new ideas to market, but it was 2009 and we were in the middle of a recession. So I was already facing some financial challenges.
Without the investment from the sharks, I can't fill the orders I have, and my family could lose our home real soon.
I thought the only way to really make the business work was to go all in and stop doing everything else. I put $150,000 of our own money in and raised another $35K, then began manufacturing it and attending trade shows to sell it when a producer of Shark Tank approached me and asked me if I would consider auditioning to be on the show. Cost of goods went through the roof, with textiles going up 300% and magnets going up 700%, and of course fuel costs surged, making shipping extremely expensive. 80% of my containers that I imported from China got stopped at the border and inspected by customs, costing me time and missing deadlines to customers, not to mention the fees that I had to pay to customs just for the privilege of their uninvited inspections. And the worst mistake I made was underestimating the cost of marketing and advertising. I was very good at selling into stores. In fact, I got it into over 400 retailers, but less than 10% of them ever reordered because no one knew what TC Pets were when they were just sitting there on the shelf at the store. And I didn't have the money to pay to advertise it. When the margins had shrunk to less than 10%, I just couldn't afford to do it anymore. I shut it all down and ran away. Basically, I lost my shit. I'm really putting it out there today. If you can relate, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. Anyway, what I didn't see creep up on me was that I had wrapped my identity all up in the success that I previously had with licensing my inventions and became very dependent on people's approval of me based on that. That was compounded by the fact that I also struggle with codependency and an exaggerated or unhealthy need to people please. I felt like I was letting everyone down, my family, my investors, my employees. Not only did I lose everything, our home, cars, horses, life savings, like everything, but I felt like I lost my reputation. That one failure, in spite of all my previous success, made me feel like a fraud. Who was I now to consult or ever help anyone else? It was DEFCON level 1 and an all-out emotional meltdown. I basically ran away with my tail between my legs because I was so embarrassed. And I felt so bad about failing, not just my family, but those beautiful people who believed enough in me to invest their hard-earned money. I left the industry for about a year and a half and just took an odd job until I started to become more comfortable again in my own skin. I was depressed. I was basically just making it day by day. Then I was invited to speak at a local entrepreneur event when someone heard that I had been on Shark Tank. I was absolutely terrified, and I white-knuckled my way through it, clinching on the podium. It was my first public appearance in over 2 years. And what was I talking about? Not the 7 successfully licensed inventions I had, but the very thing that ultimately cost me everything. I'm not even sure why I accepted, other than my friends were like really pushing me to do it. I barely looked up from the podium, but when I finished, I looked up to see that I was getting a standing ovation. And it was the first time in my life that I realized that being honest and transparent about who I was and my mistakes could actually help others. Sure, some people were still going to judge me. That's nothing new. But overall, people found it interesting and helpful to learn from my mistakes. So I slowly started to dip my toe back in that entrepreneurial pool as an entrepreneur in residence for several startup accelerators. That was a huge help in recovering from my own identity crisis. What I didn't realize was happening was that making an effort to show up honestly and transparently, no matter how difficult or embarrassing that was, with the wins and the losses I had experienced, not only helped those companies learn from me, but it also helped me to see that I learned more from the failure than all of my successes combined. You see, the word cope is a verb meaning to deal effectively with something difficult. And helping others helped me cope with my loss and simultaneously gave me a new perspective that allowed everything that happened to become a training platform for others and to become an even better coach and mentor for them. I'd say that was highly effective. What a difference from the fraud mindset of who am I to help anyone? Since then, I've helped hundreds of startup companies raise hundreds of thousands of dollars with investors, and more recently, come back to my first love, inventing and helping others build their own invention licensing businesses. And the testimonials and feedback with all of those learnings that I now have been amazing. So when you're dealing with something tragic in your professional or even your personal life, give yourself time to find your breath, get comfortable in your own skin, and then when you're ready, find small ways that you can help others with all of those learnings and the empathy that you gained through your own loss. I promise you, you will not only be able to cope with whatever you're struggling with, but you will make it to the other side better than you were before. If you'd like to learn more about how to start your own invention licensing business, book a free call with me using the link below, or ask your questions in the comments below. I read and answer every one of them. And don't forget to hit those like, subscribe, and notification buttons. Happy inventing!